Today we had the ordination of 7 monks. So we had 7 today. Previously there was 1 man ordained, so in total that's 8. So in the ordination ceremony, something that we can't skip out is teaching the meditation objects of Kesa, Loma, Naka, Danta, Tacho. So hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth and skin. And we take these objects as our mainstay for our meditation. And if the preceptor doesn't teach these, then that is incorrect. So this is due to the liking that we have in our hearts towards these bodies. So we train with these objects, train our minds in order to bring them to peace. So when the eye sees a form, when our ears hear sounds, or when there's taste that contacts the tongue, odors with the nose, there's touch with the body, or thoughts, moods arise within the mind. And then here it's the sense objects meeting with the sense faculties. And if we have enough mindfulness and wisdom, then we'll be able to see that working as it happens. And so if there is liking arising within the mind, there's pleasure towards something, or the mind has greed, hatred and delusion, then we're able to see and know that right there, that there is this liking, this delight that's arising in the mind. And if there is liking or disliking there, and that's coming from delusion in the mind. So perhaps there is a liking, maybe there's lust that appears, but it's not a lot. It's just a bit, and that feeling, it doesn't last very long. And if samadhi is good and we have wisdom, then we're able to see that that's just the mind. It's merely the mind. And if that's the case, then it shows that our minds have a lot of energy. They've got a lot of peace to them already. That the mind starts to move. It starts to attach to the objects that appear within it. And we're able to see that for what it is. We're able to see any state which arises as Dhamma. That maybe there is aversion, anger, there is love, there's hate that appears. These feelings come up for just a flash, and then they cease. And we see that that is merely Dhamma. Or there is fear that comes up for just a flash, and then that goes. And if the mindfulness and samadhi is very firm, it comes together and it's strong, and we can see that state as being Dhamma. But this depends upon the energy of our mindfulness, our samadhi and wisdom. In order to be able to do this, we need to be someone who is very wise, to be able to contemplate all things as being Dhamma. But if the energy of our mind is not enough, we can try to contemplate in that way, but we won't see it like that. What we'll see instead is self. And so these impressions that arise within the mind, maybe the mind is in the state of greed, hatred or delusion, or there's an absence of greed, hatred and delusion. If our mindfulness isn't enough, we won't be able to contemplate that. We try teaching ourselves that it's just the mind, but we won't be able to see that. So the mind really needs to be in a still state, a very firm state, that when proliferation happens, then we know that as it's happening, we see it for what it is. We see that it's just the mind. But if those proliferations that the mind is conjuring up, if that lasts for a long time, it shows that our mind has been lost for a long time. So if it goes on for lengthy periods like this, then we should pull it back to contemplate the body. And so for people who have just a small amount of lust, then they can contemplate feelings. But for those who have a lot of delight, a lot of lust, then you should contemplate the body. And for the most part, we've been born into this life, and we need to accept ourselves first, that we do have a lot of delight and lust. So we should contemplate this body then. Contemplate hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, and skin. These are the things which wrap the body. And so if we know those, then we're not deluded. We should contemplate these things, that they are disgusting things. And so this is connected with our mindfulness as well. That if we have mindfulness, then we can contemplate the body well. And we should contemplate until we become skilled at it. And so if there's energy to that contemplation, then we'll also be able to contemplate the feelings, the mind, and the Dhamma as well. Be able to contemplate the mind. But this is a very subtle object. And if our minds are still on a coarse level, we need to contemplate the body. So these things are connected. Having mindfulness over the body, over feelings, the mind, and the Dhamma. What we're able to do, it depends upon the energy of our mindfulness, samadhi, and wisdom. But if samadhi starts to really come together, and we contemplate the body as being not beautiful, and then we'll be able to, say, pull off the skin of the body, peel that off and see what's underneath, see how there's just blood there underneath. It's all red, and the smell that comes off is one of kind of raw meat. So we see that this body is something which is dirty, something which doesn't sustain its state. So we can contemplate it like this, for example. So these 5 meditation objects are important things. And for those who can contemplate the body until their mind comes to peace, it's like they're drinking the ambrosia of the deathless, which means it's a means to reaching Lokuttara, to going beyond the world. When we see the body as unattractive, then the heart becomes beautiful. We can see the elements break apart into emptiness, and here we see the Dhamma. But this depends, again, upon our samadhi and upon our mindfulness, to be able to contemplate the body in a way that gives rise to wisdom.